Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Whisper Games. I intend to upload this video on New Year's Eve, so let's hope I do, and Happy New Year to you all. I hope that 2018 or 2018 was a good year. And of course, I hope that 2019 will be an even better, great year for you, and hopefully for me too. For me, 2018 has not been the best year health-wise, so hopefully next year will be better. I have some projects that I want to do in 2019, and I want to share some of them with you in a video that's coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. But this video is going to be a video about the main theme of this channel, which is video games, and well, one of the two main themes really. Video games and ASMR. But today is going to be all about video games. My lovely patrons on Patreon have decided that this video is going to be soft spoken, and I hope that you enjoy it and that you find it relaxing, as always. So a while ago I did a video with my old Nintendo 64, talking about the games that me and my brother used to play on Nintendo 64, and I got a request to do a video talking about sort of some of my favourite games throughout my life, and video games that has given me positive memories and affected me in some way, and I'm going to share with you today some of my favourite games of all time, some of my childhood favourites, and just games that I've played a lot, or games that I remember playing very fondly, and probably I have left out a few here and there that I've forgotten about, and that I'll probably remember like as soon as I make this video, and I'll be angry about having forgotten them and not having put them in this video. But just so you know, these are just examples. I may forget some. And also, please do let me know some of your favourite video games that you've played, maybe in your childhood or maybe as an adult, and leave them in the comments so I can see what some of your favourite video games are. Okay, but let's get started. So first of all, I thought that for reference you might need to know my age, which is 26. I was born in 1992, and that makes me 26. I'll be 27 next year in 2019. And that will give you some sort of timeline idea of where I am in time when I played these games. I know that I talked about Warcraft 2 and The Sims in my Nintendo 64 video, and those are definitely two of the most fondly remembered video games of my childhood. Of course, I still play The Sims, but not the original one. So if you want a little bit more in-depth about those games, and again about the video games I played on Nintendo 64, you can go check out that video. I will link it in the description box. But Warcraft 2 is, the game that I sort of think of as the first video game that really got me hooked and that made me become a gamer, sort of, because yeah, it just got me really hooked. I had played some like kids video games when I was even younger, but yeah, and I really loved doing that, but Warcraft 2 was that special first video game love of mine. And me and my brother used to play it on my uncle's computer in his basement, and then he got us a home computer of our own and the game for ourselves to play at home, so we played that a lot. And yeah, I just really remember it very fondly, even though of course back then we didn't understand a single word of English, but it was still so much fun. I usually played as the orcs most of the time. And another like major thing that happened in my life which sort of made me a gamer, the gamer that I am today, was when I met my best friend. And that was when I started first grade in school, which in Sweden is when you're 7 years old, which would have been in 1999. I started first grade and I met my best friend, and she comes from a family of gamers, and I came to her house and we played video games, mostly The Sims and like Ocarina of Time, Mario Party, and games like that, and Pokemon. And we're still best friends to this day, and we still share the love of video games, and I love her so much, and she's given me so much throughout my life, and one of those things is gaming. Even though I think I probably would have become a gamer anyway, but I feel like meeting her really speeded things up. I have written down, I have a little note down here to sort of remember the games I want to talk about, even though I probably am forgetting a few, like I said in the beginning of this video. One of the video games, like kids video games, I remember the most from my childhood is probably a game about a boy who I think was called Timmy, though I'm not completely sure, but it was a game about a boy, and it was called Vem drog ut proppen, or something like that, which means who pulled the plug, as in who pulled the plug in the bathtub. And the thing was that, like, the video game was about someone had pulled the plug, but in the ocean, so you had to save the ocean. I think that's how it was. I haven't played that game since I was like 6 maybe, so I don't remember that well, but I remember playing it so many times and really loving it. And yeah, if you know which game I'm talking about, please let me know in the comments so we can talk about it a little bit. some of the games from my childhood that I really loved were, well, one of them was a game called Magiska Teatern, which means the magical theatre, or the magical, well, theatre is the right word, but like the magical cinema, which was a game where you made movies. Like, you put a background and then you could move around different characters and add sound, and you could record your voice as well, I think. And I had so much fun with that game, and my brother did as well, and we usually made little videos and then we showed each other and laughed our asses off. And yeah, I used to play that one with my best friend as well, quite a lot. I don't know where that game is now. Oh, I've also written down a game that I forgot to mention when I did my Nintendo 64 game, which is Mario Kart. Nintendo 64 Mario Kart, which we did not actually own. My brother and I, we used to borrow it quite a lot from one of my brother's friends, and we played that tons. And I especially remember playing the balloon battle, like minigame thing, with him a lot. And that was a lot of fun. You can still play balloon games, I think, in Mario Kart. I know I have Mario Kart 8, I think it is, on my Switch, Nintendo Switch. And I know that the balloon game is on there. The next game on my little list is a game that I played a lot with a friend of mine. Not my best friend, but another friend. And in Swedish that game was called Arvet från Rosemont Hill. And that would, well, Rosemont Hill is English. It's the name of a farm. Like a horse farm. Like I would translate it to the heritage of Rosemont Hill, something like that, or like the legacy of Rosemont Hill, something like that. I don't know what that game is called in English. It probably has a name in English, but I don't know what it is. And I know that there are other Rosemont Hill video games, or they used to be when I was a kid. But I have only played the horse one, which is this one. And you play as a character, a lady, a girl called Annie, I think. And the game is basically about taking care of your horses and winning competitions and stuff. But then there's also like other story line going on at the same time. And I used to play that a lot with one of my friends at her house because she had the game, and I wanted to get the game for myself, but I know that took a long time. Like, I know that I wished for it for like my birthday and Christmas for a while before I got it. But I think that what I liked the most about that game was when, like, everything was so, you know, it almost gave me ASMR in a way, because there were all these like steps to how you would take care of your horse. Like, it was quite realistic. That's something I always like appreciate in games. I always like simulation games to be quite realistic, like when there's a lot of details that make it just that little bit extra. That's something that I really like about, like in video games. I like the details of things. So for example, when you took care of your horse, you had to like, let's say that you needed to clean the thing that he stands in, the box. Is that what it's called in English? Who knows? You had to clean out your horse's like little area where he stood in the stable, whatever that's called. There goes my fridge, I'm sorry. And in other games that might just be going into the box and go like, click this button to clean. But in this game, no. You had to physically go to another part of the stable, pick up the wheelbarrow and like a pitchfork, walk back, open the door, go inside, get the horse out to the well, that's actually the first thing you would do. You would get the horse out to the, like, what's that called then? The pasture, the outside area with a fence around it, where the horses would go. I'm not good with horse vocabulary in English, sorry. You had to get the horse out. Then you would get the wheelbarrow and pitchfork inside, pick up every piece of poop and put it into the wheelbarrow, then drive the wheelbarrow out, open the door out to the like haystack thing where you would dump the horse poo, and then drive the wheelbarrow back, put it where you found it, put the pitchfork where you found it, and go get the horse back and into the compartment, box, whatever you call it, where the horse lives. And you know, everything was like that. You had to do everything step by step, and I really like that. And I've talked way too long about this game. Sorry about that ramble, but that's why I really liked it. I liked the realism of it, and I also loved to just ride around on my horse, explore the area. That's something I also really like about video games, when there's like an open world. You can just ride around or run around and explore, and you can do that in this game as well, and I loved it. Anyway, enough about Rosamund Hill. I've also written everything Zelda, which is so true. I've talked about Ocarina of Time in my Nintendo 64 game video, and that's probably my favourite Zelda of all time. Probably now, it's probably tied with Breath of the Wild, because I love that game so much. But Ocarina of Time it's a classic, and I love it. And if you haven't played it, I recommend that you should. And there's a 3D remastered version now as well, which is really good as well. For 3DS and Wii U, I think. I used to play Wind Waker with my best friend a lot as well, when that came out on GameCube. One of my favourite Zelda games actually is one that's quite underestimated, I think, and that's Minish Cap, a game that I played on Game Boy Advance. I don't know if it's available on any other console but I played it on Game Boy Advance. I've probably played that game like 7 times. I'm not even exaggerating, it might be more. I really like that game. I like the visuals, I like the music. Yeah. I know that people tend to not like that game, but I do. But yeah, everything Zelda is a favourite. And then I've written Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, that was also a very big childhood favourite of mine, definitely. It's a video game about building theme parks, like amusement parks, very much like Planet Coaster, but Roller Coaster Tycoon was a game that came out much earlier, of course, so it's not as pretty, although I really like it. It's like square based, and I find that quite appealing. Like, I like that about it. I've played it as an adult as well, and I still love it so much. We had one of the expansions too, which I don't remember what it's called, but we used to play that so much, both me and my brother, and I played it with friends and, alone, and put so many hours into that game. I love it. And yeah, I find actually when I was writing down a list of my favourite video games to share with you in this video, I sort of reflected on why I found them to be my favourite games, and surprisingly to myself, many of the games I can think of memories where I played them with someone, usually either my brother or my best friend or another friend of mine. And I find that interesting because I'm very much an introvert, and I like to, I've always been the kind of child person. I was a child that was completely fine with playing by myself, I have a lot of imagination, and I'm kind of a loner, to be honest. So it was surprising to me that so many of my favourite gaming memories or favourite games are linked to me playing them with other people. Yeah, I guess I've learned something about myself. Maybe I'm not as introverted as I thought, but now we're getting to the games that I remember playing when I was a little bit older, so like mid-teens and up. So I've written down my first horror games. I love horror games, and so does my best friend, so we play a lot of horror games together and we watch a lot of horror movies together. But I also play horror games on my own, and back in my mid-teens somewhere I started playing horror games, and the first 2 horror games that I remember playing was on the Wii console, and they were Resident Evil 4 and Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Resident Evil 4 is a classic, really. I also had Resident Evil 0, but that one's not as good. And I loved the Silent Hill game. I know that a lot of people don't like that one. And, like, I can understand that it's not as good as the other Silent Hill, games, like Silent Hill 2 and so on. But it was my first Silent Hill game, and it was my first horror game, really, and that's something special, and I found it scary, and, well, not so scary that I couldn't play it, but it was scary to me, and it was also really the first time I played a video game that was based on, you know, some sort of the story of the game sort of changes slightly depending on the choices you make. It's quite a, like, early version of that concept, but I found that mind-blowing at the time. I haven't played that game since I was maybe 15, 16, so I probably wouldn't like it as much today, but yeah, that's just a fond memory of mine too. Playing Silent Hill shattered memories for the first time. Speaking of horror games, I think one of my other favourite games are, well, I have two favourite horror games. Horror games. It's a hard word to say. Horror games. One of which is Outlast. Simply because I like the story, I like the characters. Well, like is a strong word. You know what I mean. They're good characters, even though they're horrible people. And that game scared me so much. Especially Chris, Mr. Walker. And yeah, Outlast is probably the game that scared me the most so far. And another horror game favourite that I wanted to talk about is Alien Isolation. And I'm a big fan of the first Alien movie. The other ones, they're not as good, but the first one is freaking brilliant, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you like horror and space and stuff like that, and Sigourney Weaver, the amazing woman. I was like, Alien Isolation wasn't that scary to me. I know that a lot of people found it super scary and couldn't finish playing it because it was so scary, but I didn't really. I mean, it was scary at times, and the alien certainly scared me a couple of times. But it's more like I'm not so much scared as I'm tense when I play it. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't really find it super scary. But that's something that I find really interesting with horror games. Like the fact that you can react really differently to things, and even though some things are really scary to someone, it might not be scary at all to others. Outlast, for example, I know plenty of people who didn't find it scary at all, and to me it's like the scariest game ever. And it's the other way around with Alien Isolation for me. I didn't find it super scary, but I really appreciate it as a horror game. It's definitely scary, you know, but I didn't get super scared by it, if that makes sense. There are definitely times when I jump and scream when the alien grabs you out of nowhere and stuff, but yeah, but I really, really love that game. Mainly because it's so close to the original movie. Like, they could not have done a better job, seriously, at depicting Alien. And like the way the spaceship looks, there are different spaceships, but at the beginning you're in a spaceship that I don't remember the name of right now, but it's pretty much identical to the Nostromo of the original Alien movie. What is it called in the game? I don't remember now, but you're on a ship that's the same kind of ship as the Nostromo, and just walking around in the intro bit, just looking at things, is so cool. Like, they've got it so right, and the alien is also spot on perfect. Like, they've created him or it so well, with the AI and the way he sounds, the way he moves, you know, it's perfect, spot on. Yeah, it's a really long game, but I don't mind because I freaking love it. Yeah, and I like the way everything looks. Like, it's not so shiny and pretty, you know, pristine, perfect. It looks a little bit like I would imagine spaceships would look in real life, if that makes sense. If we actually had spaceships like that, I assume they would look something like that, and everything is so, I want to say tactile, like you feel like you can touch it, and the sound effects are so good, like just the sounds of when you're like saving, you know, plugging in your card thing, and yeah, it's just brilliant. I love Alien Isolation. And if you're into Alien and you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. And then I've written down Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was actually the first Assassin's Creed game I ever played, although I had watched my brother play Assassin's Creed 2 previously, and I had been watching Let's Plays of Assassin's Creed 3 on YouTube, and I wanted to play Assassin's Creed 4 for myself, so I had to wait until I had money enough to buy myself a proper gaming computer, like a desktop gaming computer, and I bought Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Along with that computer, it was kind of a package deal. Like, I bought the computer and Assassin's Creed came with it, if you know what I mean. And I've played that game to bits. You know, I love it. I've played it on this channel a little bit. And yeah, one of my favorite games of all time. I love the pirate and Assassin's Creed combo. It's like perfect, in my opinion. Then I've also written The Last of Us. The Last of Us I played quite late because I didn't have a PlayStation 3. I got a PlayStation 4 when that was a quite new console, and I bought The Last of Us for PlayStation 4 with it. It's like a remastered, it's called The Last of Us Remastered or something like that. game just for PS4. And to be honest, I think The Last of Us is my favourite game of all time for a lot of reasons. And I'm actually going to get a tattoo in February, and it's going to be a The Last of Us tattoo. And I wanted to share that news with you in this video when I'm talking about The Last of Us. I'm so excited about that, but I'll get to that. I'll just talk about the game a little bit first. If you don't know what The Last of Us is, basically it's an what's it called? Like apocalypse based game. It takes place in the future in America, and there has been a virus type thing. It's called the cordyceps virus. It's a virus, right? I think so. And it's a mushroom sort of what's the word? Parasite thing that takes over the brains. It's actually based on a real life thing. The cordyceps exists in the real world, and it makes ants into zombies. There's a good little documentary snippet on YouTube somewhere that I've seen where David Attenborough is explaining it, so I might see if I can find that and link it in the description box. But I find it so cool that they've based it on the cordyceps parasite thing, because to me it feels like it's something that, you know, if things go terribly wrong, could be happening in real life. Who knows? The main idea of the game is that the cordyceps virus has basically wiped out mankind, basically. Well, most of mankind. There are still some people left alive in, like, they've made zones where they can stay relatively safe. Things have gone to shit, basically, and you play as this guy called Joel, and when you, like, the main portion of the game, well, all of the game except for the first chapter, it has been like 20 years or so. I'm not sure of the exact number of years, but it's 20 years or so since people started getting sick for the first time, and since people started turning into zombies, basically. Or infected. They don't ever use the word zombie, I don't think. They call them clickers and runners, and what is the big one called? I was gonna say boomers, but that's Left 4 Dead. Let me think on that for a little while. Bloaters, I think. Anyway, basically you find this, well, you meet this girl called Ellie, who is immune to the virus, and there's this organization called the Fireflies, which are trying to create some sort of like antidote type thing, something that can save humanity. And they have Ellie and they want Joel to bring Ellie to one of their labs, which is in another city. And for different reasons, Joel is the one who gets to do that, but I won't talk about that. But anyway, really the game is about the relationship between Joel and Ellie that develop through their year-long journey through post-apocalyptic America. It's such a beautiful game, so beautiful, both aesthetically and like emotionally. Like the story is fantastic, and if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. The DLC is really good as well, and emotional. But anyway, my tattoo that I'm getting is I'm getting the logo of the fireflies, which is a firefly. Shocker. I'm getting that tattooed on my back, like the top of my back, between my shoulder blades. And I sort of have two reasons to get that tattoo. And the first one is because The Last of Us is my favourite game of all time, and I love it. And the second reason is because, like I said in the beginning of this video, my year has been quite shitty. And it's been really dark sometimes, and I've managed to turn it around, and I'm much better, and I'm still alive, and I'm working again, and I feel a lot better about myself and life and everything around me. And I wanted to sort of symbolize that in some way, and I thought the firefly symbol would be such a good symbol for the journey I've had this year. They have a saying, like a catchphrase kind of thing in the game, which is look for the light. I don't know if it's something about darkness before that. But it's look for the light. Anyway, and the whole idea with the fireflies, you know, even though you're not the best buddies with them the entire game, let's just say, but they are an organization that are trying to save humanity. That's what they are, basically. And they're not giving up, even though there's been years and years and years of no progress, or nothing positive. And it's a really tough situation, but they're not giving up. And, you know, they still have hope. They still have the hope that they will save humanity, that there's still a light in the darkness, as cheesy as that sounds. But I feel like that would symbolize this year's journey very well. I feel like I need to have that message sort of with me to remind me that even if things feel like, you know, if things get really dark, I should still have hope that I can pull through, you know. Yeah, that got really emotional. But yeah. Anyway, The Last of Us. Freaking If you haven't played it, again, play it. Play it. Okay, so on that emotional note, I think it's time to end this video. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed this video and that you liked hearing about some of my favourite games of my life. Again, definitely not all of them, but these are some examples. I hope that you sleep well tonight. I hope that you have a wonderful 2019, and I will see you next year. Sleep well.